I would like to share with you, my dear subscribers and visitors, one very delicious and easy recipe for sour green tomatoes. The ones that are found on tomato bushes just before the first frost and fall. It is actually a very useful method because it helps you preserve all of the green tomatoes left on the tomato bush at once. When the weather gets colder, they usually stop ripening, and lots of people just simply throw them away, not knowing that green tomatoes are a great source of vitamins and other nutrients, and you can make those sour, spicy green tomatoes in 3 days. You will need a few bunches of herbs like dill, coriander, parsley, basil, or rosemary. Although it doesn't matter what kind of green herbs you use and what amount, it's your personal preference. To make it spicy, you will need about 5 to 6 pieces of hot pepper and 2 to 3 good heads of garlic for approximately a dish about 10 liters in volume, which will be filled to the top with green tomatoes. If you have any problems with spicy food, you can use less of the hot pepper, but it doesn't change the final taste. Wash the green herbs and chop them up into small pieces, as well as the garlic and the pepper. I already prepared some of this to save some time, so put everything into a deep dish and mix until they are fully mixed. Now we're ready to start stuffing the green tomatoes, and make sure to stuff them layer by layer, starting from the bottom. You will have to cut the tomato in half, but not all the way, to allow the two halves to hold in the stuffing. Just take a small portion of the mixture you just made and stuff it inside. Squeeze it gently and place it in the pan. Continue to do this until the dish is fully full. Leave a little bit of room at the top to allow the pickle solution to cover all of the tomatoes. Small green tomatoes you don't have to cut and you don't have to stuff. Just place them in between the big tomatoes. They will undergo the same fermentation process just as well as the other tomatoes, and they will be crunchy and delicious. Do not use red tomatoes. Fermentation will make them very soft and not nice to eat. Fermented foods are actually really good for your health and help you stay young, full of energy, and control your weight. Fermented foods contain enzymes, which help with your digestion. Fermentation was actually used for a very long time when they didn't know about good and bad bacteria, but they noticed that fermentation helped them save food from spoiling or rotting after a very long time. These tomatoes will have a pleasant acidic taste, not because we're going to use table vinegar to start the fermentation process, but because lots of beneficial lactobacillus bacteria will live in them, transferring sugar to the lactic acid. The probiotic effect of these kinds of food is very high. Living beneficial bacteria will improve your gut's microbiota. For 300 grams of the finished product, you will receive about 1 billion of live probiotic bacteria. Besides, this cooking method will leave you with all of the vitamins untouched just for you. Vitamins C, A, B, and E. Apparently, green tomatoes will give your body more vitamins than red tomatoes. So, it's right on time for fall to boost your immune system. Now you have to prepare the pickle solution. For 5 liters of water, you will need to add 5 to 6 tablespoons of salt. You can use sea salt or table salt. 2 to 3 tablespoons of sugar, 3 to 4 tablespoons of mustard powder, add a few bay leaves if you like the taste, and 7 to 8 tablespoons of 5% pure white vinegar. Remember, vinegar needs to start the fermentation and inhibit some of the bad bacteria and fungus. White vinegar itself is the product of bacteria fermentation. So, mix everything, put it on a stove, and bring to a boil. While you are boiling the brine, you can try and taste it and adjust it to your preference. When the water begins to boil, start to pour the brine out into every dish with the tomatoes. Do it very carefully. Do not spill the hot water. Remember, no rush is needed. Make sure that the brine has covered every tomatoes. The tomatoes will try to float out, and for that reason, you have to put some weight on top to keep them under the water. You can simply use a lid or a plate with something heavy placed on top. I normally use a big jar or a bottle with water for this purpose. When everything is ready, put them in a warm place for fermentation for approximately 3 days. After 3 days, you can try them. They should be crunchy, sour, and delicious. Now they are good for side dishes, salads, and by themselves. You will have to move them to a cooler place like a fridge or cellar to keep them delicious. Bon appetit! Thank you so much for watching. Leave any comments and questions below, and do not forget to subscribe.